anyways, this is part 2 of that video that you've just seen. I left that battery as it was, didn't want to go any further, but then I thought, okay, this orange peel seems to it's got my attention a little bit, and I thought, what would happen if I put that, or replace that activated carbon, the regular stuff, with my cardboard carbon, the one that you saw in the other video. So it's on test now. I've cleaned off all that coconut AC, and I've got my cardboard carbon on the anode, just to get a little bit of a comparison. But what you've got to bear in mind is this cardboard carbon is not activated yet, so whatever the comparison is, we've got to bear that in mind. So that's that. In this video now, you're going to see what I did with some graphite. I intercalated some graphite, or I think I intercalated some graphite, and it was a teaspoon of graphite powder. And I saw this on the internet a while back, I think on YouTube, and what it was, it started off its life as graphite powder intercalated in ascorbic acid and hydrogen peroxide. But then the guy said, well, I later added some stronger acid, so I put a little drop of phosphoric acid in there as well, and I got this, what you're about to see. I won't spoil it and say too much, but if you can tell me what I've got here, I'd be grateful, because I don't know. So let's get on with it then. Video 2, part 2 of that video. Now this, as I say, is on charge at the moment, so I'm going to try and include the results of this with that cardboard carbon at the end of this. Okay? Damn phones. So yeah, that's it. Okay, while we're at it, I just wanted to show this little fume hood that I made today. Nothing special, just a fume hood. And also the fact that I don't use a kiln anymore. Haven't done for weeks and weeks now, because I got sick and tired of the damn things blowing up, and I'd been doing a lot of microwave stuff anyway, so just made sense to knock it on the head. But what I'm going to do, whole purpose of this right this minute, a lot of people ask me how, and you know, what I do in the kiln and stuff like that. Well, I'm doing it in the microwave now. I will show you that. Okay, now on this occasion I don't mind letting the oxygen into there, or the air, don't mind that at all. So that's a new carbon that will be very conductive, very conductive. I did actually do some, so I'm just still trying to clean up my shelves, and as you can see, I've got the, well, hopefully you can see, I've got the stirrers there now on top of the microwave in the fume hood, instead of being over there with that horrible mess. That's all sugar. The other thing I wanted to show you was, I've been intercalating some graphite. This is just ordinary, it's not flake graphite or anything like that, it's just graphite powder. And in there is 1 spoon of graphite powder, and it's fluffed up quite a lot. Volume wise, I think that's a lot more than 1 spoon now. So yeah, it's fluffed up. So I thought, I'm going to try that in the microwave as it is, and I'll show you a bit. only put a tiny spot in there, and what happened was that foamed right up into sort of a, you know, it just ballooned up, mushroomed. So I put it back in, and the result is this black stuff here, which I think might well be graphene. Because it's pitch black. It's not grey, it's not silver, it's actually black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some more of that, or not this but that, in the microwave, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. If I can find the container that I used, which is one of these ramekins actually. Get them from Tesco's in the UK, obviously, and they're pretty good. They can stand some heat, I tell you. So what I'm going to do is just put that spot in there. Well, actually no, I think I might put a bit more in. I mean, you can see how much I've got in there now. For one spoon of graphite, that's just quite amazing, really. The way it's all fluffed up. So I've got about a spoonful in there. Now I've just put that on in the microwave there for 3 minutes, and you can see the reaction. See what's going on. Sparks. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop that. We got some fuming, obviously, and there it is. Look at that. There it is. Black. Well, that's foamed up quite well, and it is just like a foam at the moment. And that was just that graphite powder, which you can see is quite grey in the light. It's definitely grey, and that is definitely black. And so is that residue there. So what I'm going to do is put it back in and let it do its 4 minutes, and I'll come back and show you again what I've got. And again, there it is, this foam, which was just graphite powder. Now you saw the amount that I put in on the spoon, and if I were to get a spoon, another spoon, you can see how much we've got there. A little bit more than a spoonful. It's just incredible. So I'm going to do a couple of things with this now. I'm going to well, one thing I'm going to do is intercalate a lot more, obviously, but that I'm going to wash it and filter it and check it out. No idea what the resistance is of it, but no idea what it is yet. I think, with it being black, I would have to say that it is a graphene. So we shall see. Catch you in a bit. Okay, so we know that this isn't a square test, but I've just put some of that material on a piece of aluminium plate. So there's one on the bottom and there's one on the top. I'm going to put some light pressure on the top there. Get it nice and even pressure wise. That's set on 200 ohms, and at the moment we've got 4.6 ohms. Pressed a little bit harder, it goes down. So I'll give it a good old press. You can try it again. 2.6 ohms. I shall put this back in the microwave and see how we get on, and I'll let you know. And also that stuff there, which is still glowing red, as you can probably see, still a lot of heat in there. It's glowing red at the bottom. I've just took a couple of pieces out. In fact, as hot as that is, I can pick a piece out and put it there because it cools so quickly. You know, there are still pieces in there glowing red. Down the bottom there, that is glowing red. See it? It's still quite hot in there. But it just doesn't, you know, take long to cool at all. So what I'm going to do is test a couple of these pieces now for resistance. You know, that's the whole point of this. So I'll test it first as a lump. It's a bit brittle, but yeah, it's breaking up. You know, 2.5 ohms, 2 ohms, 1.4 ohms. So that piece is a bit more solid, so I was able to get the probes into it. So 1.4. Which tells me that it needs cooking for a bit longer. But what I do first now is I break that up a bit first. Give it a good old break up. This is sugar, by the way, but it's not regular sugar. It's another one which someone kindly reminded me to try, which is brown sugar. And that's what that is. So I'll try anything once. Just before I do any more with this, like I said, I'm going to do some more. I'm going to intercalate some more, but just, you know, the sheer volume of the stuff is just amazing me. So I guess I'm wondering what everyone's wondering about, what I use to intercalate this. Oops, a daisy. That, yeah. Now that was hot, wasn't it? That was pretty daft. That glass was quite hot. And I've just put a cold mix in it. I'll be back. Well, there's one for you then. Those ramekins are really, really good, and they you know, you can put them through some punishment in the microwave, but let them cool down at their own natural pace. Do not put a cold mix in with them when they're hot. So that's the moral of that story. So I was just about to say then, this was 1 spoon of graphite powder, and it was 3 milligrams of phosphoric acid and 2 milligrams, milliliters, 3 milliliters of phosphoric and 2 milliliters of hydrogen peroxide. That was it. So now you know as much as me. Okay, I've just done the rest of that, put it in the microwave, and there it is, look. All puffed up. Nice foam, as they say. Now, like I said, that was just regular graphite powder. That's how it started its life, and it's been in there for 48 hours, and that's it. So I'm going to put that back in the microwave now, obviously, and get the resistance down a bit if we can, and finish off the reaction. Okay, at the moment I've got something in the microwave, and it is actually mushrooms. I've never done mushrooms before, and I'm trying mushrooms now. What I wanted to show was one of the problems that you do get with this, and it's that. And that's the reason you need a good fume hood, cupboard if you can afford one, but it does get worse than that. As you can see, mine's working perfectly. It's taken all the smoke away. So just wanted to show that bit. Now, as far as the mushrooms are concerned, don't know yet where we are. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. But as you can see, that system is working fine. So I just wanted to document that as one of the problems that you get. Now, what I'm going to do is show you that situation that's much worse in a minute, and I mean much worse. And these are just some of the complications you get with carbonising in a microwave. So I'll be back. Okay, so I'm hoping that you can see some of this, but what's happening at the moment is that it's getting inundated in there with fumes and smoke. I'll just show you what I mean. That. And what happens is, eventually, in another minute or two, that mushroom is just starting to carbonise, and you get this, a lot of this smoke, as you can see. But it does get much worse than that. Unfortunately, I've done this the wrong way around. I should have shown you this earlier on as well. But I've got some more stuff to put in a minute. One of the other things, of course, is when you do this, you should really give everything a rest to cool down, and also you need standoffs in the microwave, and I've got one here, or two blocks there. Now this is fire brick, and I use those as standoffs to protect the glass plate from the heat. So this plate here is a jeweler's welding plate, or soldering plate as they call it, good for 2000 degrees. This is another heat plate, which is more, it's an asbestos replacement, this stuff. And this is vermiculite, I think, or something like that. So, or it could be a perlite, I don't know. It's one of the two. Both extremely good for high temperatures. I think we've gone past the phase now, or the stage, I should say, with this. Well, yeah, there's still a little bit of smoke, but it is dying down now, and that's what happens. It dies down. So what I'm trying to do is give you some idea of oops, I've zoomed in there by accident. Let's try and zoom out. Okay, so this lot's getting extremely hot now. It does go past the smoke stage. I don't know whether you can see that is red hot in there. That really is hot. Okay. I wanted to show you the bottom, but I've let it cool too much. But we've got some carbon there. It's not finished yet. Another minute or two and we'll be there. Now again, at the moment I don't mind allowing oxygen into this one. Not bothered about that at this stage. We're almost, it's a bit dark in here, I need to get a light in there, but we're almost on 0 on that dial there. And the smoking has died down now. You need a pair of these, by the way. These are just kitchen tongs, stainless steel. You know, these cost £1.50. You know, if you buy proper tongs that they sell for kilns and all manner of stuff, you know, little furnaces, they cost fortunes. Right, now that really is hot. I can't show you the bottom because, well, it's too dangerous. There you go. Got some nice heat in there now. And we've got some nice mushroom carbon. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a piece of that, pop it down on there. So there's my standoffs, look, you can see those. I've got another little pot in here as well, which is the mushroom skin, the peel, the bit you peel off. And I just wanted to see what the difference was really between the two. So I'm just going to let that, just leave that to cool down. And what I'm going to do, I'm doing this all wrong today, what I'm going to do is just check those bits of carbon there. Not that you can see those, but where I put them. But if I pop them there like that, and yeah, I mean, you know, that's a few seconds and that has gone from red hot to, well, they're not even warm, to be honest. But yeah, I'm going to check those for resistance now. Okay, I've just put the probes on one of those tiny pieces and it measured 14 ohms. Now I can't do that, I can't do this one-handed, so I'm going to have to do the old plate test. The way I normally do it, just give there that bit of a press there, and I'm going to attempt to do this one-handed. And there's the meter, some pressure on there, and there we've got 8.2 ohms. Bit more pressure, 7.2 ohms. So I know that that's, if I press that a little bit more, crush it up a bit and bring the distance down between the two plates, we've got about 3 mil at the moment. So there we go, look, we've got sub 4 ohms. So this is telling me now that we've got some pretty low resistance out of that carbon. Let's send this down to a millimetre and try and get a reading now. Well, we're down below 3-ish there, so now we're back up again because I've moved it, but okay, so 2.2 ohms there. Now what that's telling me is that could do with another minute. Well, 1 minute 30 actually, 30 seconds to bring it back up to temperature, and another minute to make the conduction better. So what I'll do, I'll put that carbon back in there and give it that minute and a half, and I'll show you what I mean, hopefully. So that's just getting its minute and a half. I'm waiting for the ding, and then I shall check that conductance again, or the conductivity, and see what we've got after that 1.5 minutes. I mean, there are many ways in which you can make carbons more conductive. Let's say on a battery you can mix some graphite with it. It's not the way I like to go. You know, anywhere between 3 and 20% you can try, and it does make it conduct a bit better. It depends on your setup and what you're doing, whether you're stacking carbons or, you know, a microsurface or whatever. The other way, one of my favourite ways, is with this stuff. And I've always got some of this on hand. It's always on the stirrer, and that's the 1.5 minutes. And there we go. And that's sugar. Okay, caramelised sugar. Smells lovely. I don't eat the stuff anymore. I ate it for most of my life, but I don't now because it's not really good for your sugar. It tastes nice, but I tend to eat honey and stuff like that. A particular honey. But yeah, caramelised sugar. Now, apart from anything else, if you go down that sugar route, the other thing that you can do with it is you can lose a lot of your material that you're carbonising, depending on how you're carbonising it, in a kiln or in the microwave. You can open the lid and you just find ash. And it's mainly, I suppose, because oxygen's getting in there, and you know, it just burns itself out. In those instances, what I found was, and it depends on the material, of course, I mixed it with that caramelised sugar, and it makes for a fantastic carbon. You still retain your base material, and you don't need a lot of that sugar. It just coat everything, and it all carbonises together lovely, and you get some good conductivity out of it. And in the case of like when I've done leaves and stuff like that, because they're so fragile anyway, you tend to lose a lot of it, especially if oxygen's getting in there. So a sealed container, for one. That little microwave kiln that I've shown you isn't too bad actually. Once you take the lid off, oxygen gets in there, obviously. So the way around that, once you've got a sealed container like that, is to let it cool down, either in the kiln or the microwave or whatever. Just leave it for a couple of hours. In respect of a kiln, you know, it's an overnight job. With a microwave, generally, in that setup that you've just seen, you can leave it for an hour or so, 2 hours, and then let the oxygen get to it then. it depends on what, you know, what groups you want to add to it as well. I'm going to say a lot about that shortly, because I've got another little place set up now. I've got 3 microwaves in here, but I haven't got any room. I haven't got the space. I mean, you can see me leaning on, literally on, you know, I've got this is my bench here, right, and I just take half a step, and if I do that, you know, that's another set of shelves and the wall, you know, so it's quite cramped. But in this other place I got set up, a friend of mine's let me have some space, a small amount of space, about the same as this really, where I've got another couple of microwaves and a kiln set up, where I can put whatever gas I want to put into whatever I'm carbonising. The kiln has got a hole through the bottom with a tube. You've got to pick your metal as well. You know, I mean, I've used stainless steel, but it doesn't last. It flakes a lot. So I've got this tube where I can pump gas, but you need an exhaust system as well. So you need 2 tubes, one feeding the gas and one as an exhaust for all kinds of fumes and stuff. So you need whatever container you're using, and I find, let me just show you, I'll grab one. I find that these, I haven't got a new one, did have some new one. This is like a coffee, tea, sugar container, stainless steel with a lid, and there's the lid, and you get a fairly nice seal job from that, but they don't last. I don't know if you can see the hole in that. You know, in the kiln, you couldn't use this in the microwave obviously. In the kiln, you know, 6, 7, 8 times, 9, 10 times, and it's scrap. That's it, because they flake a lot. If you open the kiln too early, these just, it's almost like bullets shooting off the surface. I mean, you've got to watch your eyes and everything, so you've got to let that cool down. There's a tip. So yeah, there's that, and you've got to have 2 holes in the bottom obviously. That's in the kiln. The other thing you can use in the kiln and the microwave are these things. Now that's alumina oxide, whatever it's called, aluminium oxide, whatever. There's all sorts of zirconium, there's porcelain, there's all sorts of stuff that you can use in your kiln and in the microwave. That microwave kiln there, don't know what that is to be honest, but we know what this is, and they are good. If you're using sugars and stuff and you get a lot of expansion, you can crack these quite easily. I've got quite a few over there cracked, and they're £25 each from China. I daren't even contemplate looking at a price in the UK for stuff like this. I did once, and it just, you know, it was twice as much as China, so you wouldn't do that, would you? So yeah, you got that, and you can drill a hole in the bottom of these. What did I use? I used glass cutters, you know, glass drills where you drill a hole in glass, plenty of water, and a couple of holes, one feed, one exhaust for nitrogen, CO2, argon, whatever gas you want to use. The argon's good for what I was talking about earlier on, where you can lose your material through oxygen. It just keeps that lovely inert atmosphere, carbonises your leaves, whatever you're carbonising, your fine stuff, and it maintains the structure. Otherwise you just end up with ash. So that you know, there's a good one, argon gas. Now this place I've got set up, like I say, I've got microwaves in there as well, and now the microwave, you've got to drill holes the same, but you can't use metal tubes, can you? Not in your microwave. So it's a plastic tube affair. I can't remember what the plastic's called that I use now, but it's okay for microwaves. A lot of plastics aren't. You know, it's got to be microwavable, hasn't it? the plastic that you use. So again, but the tubes there come down from the top of the microwave, not from the bottom as I have with the kiln. And there's a very good reason for that with the kiln. If you come from the top, you've got too much of tube exposed to all the heat, and it causes all sorts of problems. But so you can suspend your jar from the top of the microwave as well, but it's quite complex. So I found that the best method I found for the microwave, if you're not bothered about your turntable, is from the bottom again with a tube inside a tube. So what you've got is your feed tube in the centre, and the larger tube is your exhaust tube to exhaust the gas. So you know, there's all sorts of ways in which you can do it, but I think on the whole, instead of trying to use two tubes in a static environment, i.e. no turntable, I do prefer that the tubes come in from the top of the microwave, and I've got a tube inside a tube, so as I say, feed and exhaust. So that's that bit. I mean, all of my stuff now is microwave. All of my carbons are microwave carbons. Whether I'm activating carbons or just producing a carbon, you know, you've seen I microwave now, and I've got resistances as low as 0.8, 0.7 of an ohm from the microwave, and you've just got to do that bit of overcooking, that's all. You know, you can't do this 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, even up to 7 minutes, 8 minutes that you do with activation. You know, whether you're using zinc oxide, zinc chloride, or acids. You know, my favourite acid, which seems to be the one that everyone uses. I'll show you. Is this stuff. Phosphoric acid. Now I've got that out for a reason. There's quite a lot of phosphoric acid there, and I've got 2 of these, and that's because I use a lot. You know, so when I say it's my favourite method, you can well believe it. So there you go then. I think the next thing is to try this carbon that I've just given another minute to, and let's have a look at the resistance. The other one that I showed, I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to get another couple of plates. A couple of clean plates, and we'll go again. I'll move that, and I'll have to, you know, do all of that. I have got another video stand, and I don't know why I don't use it for stuff like this, but I'll be back in a minute. Okay, well, that's pretty good. What I've managed to do, look, is set the camera up. Well, you can see that, and here, I'm hoping you can see that as well, just about, is that the carbon I've just taken out. So we're set on 200 ohms. Let's put a bit of pressure on there. We're set at about 2 mil there at the moment, so we're down to 1.8 ohms. If I make that a 1 millimeter gap as opposed to 2 millimeters, 1.5 ohms, 1.4 ohms, and I know we can get better than that, you know, it's not a problem. So 1.2 ohms there. Now if I were to just touch the plate, I think we're going to get about 0.4. Okay, 0.2 of an ohm from the aluminium itself, so you can see that there's no fudging going on or anything like that. You know, it's a genuine gap in between the two aluminium plates. So I've just made the gap about 0.5 millimetre there, and you know, that's flashing 0.9. And all I'm doing really is powderising the graphite a bit more, that's all. And there you have it, 0.8 of an ohm. A couple of important things, one important thing to say and one thing to show you. I'm hoping, I've got something in the microwave now and I'm hoping to show you that fumes and smoke billowing out of the microwave, for one, if I can. The other important thing is, you saw me open that tub and I said I didn't mind letting the oxygen in at this stage. Now I put the lid back on it and I put it back in just to show you the extra conductivity that can be obtained. But what I'm going to say to you is this: if you do that, you will lose your contents. Once you've let that oxygen in, that's it. So ultra important is, do your cooking, let it cool down, just leave it, don't mess with it, and your contents should be safe and you should have some carbon. Otherwise, this is what you can end up with. I hope you can see that, because what we've got there is a lot of ash. We've got some carbon left, but it's not a good yield. It's a 50% yield, and it's virtually scrap, really. So let that oxygen in, and you know, in some instances I do let some oxygen in for a specific reason. Then I'll leave it to cool down. I might even cool it down with some water. You know, I've done that before. So, you know, lots of little things that you can learn, stuff you've got to be aware of, and things like that. So now I'm hoping that you can see all of that smoke coming out of there. I don't know if you can, but I think you can. There's smoke and fumes everywhere. Now at the moment that fume cupboard hood is taking it all away nicely, but that's what you get. I'm going to show you something. That is what you get. Okay. So this is what I say about giving it you know, a couple of minutes, let the smoke, fumes out, and so on and so on. And the whole point of me saying that although none of that is coming into this room, it is all being taken away, as you can see, by the extraction. So I mean, you can see how long it's taken to clear, you know. So what I'll do, I'll just get my £1.50 tongs, I'll take that out, and you can see that it is that pot that's fuming. Okay. And there's my standoffs to save me putting excess heat onto that glass. Okay, and off it goes again. Now in another minute I'll probably have to do just the same again, and I just wanted to show that as well. Right, a few hints and tips there. As you can see, I'm doing some more battery work. I'm back to that small battery, just as a test piece really. What you can expect in the very near future is some work on bioplastics. Yes, I can hear everyone saying, well, bioplastics have been around for years, the internet's full of bioplastics videos. Yes, it is, that's true. Even Robert and Steve at FWG have done a lot with bioplastics. But I want to put my take on it, and I want to put my 5 penneth in, and do what I want to do with it. And one of the things I will be doing with bioplastics is, I should talk a lot about plastics in that particular video, petroleum plastics and bioplastics, and then show you some of my bioplastics and how I make bioplastics. But also, the main emphasis is going to be on conductive bioplastics. I did a short piece on plastic with graphite, conductive plastic, where I used polystyrene dissolved in acetone. Then I used toluene as the carrier. Now you can use toluene to dissolve the polystyrene as well, but it's expensive, so I used acetone because it's cheaper. So that's the only reason I used acetone. But then I turned it into a conductive plastic with some graphite. Now everyone kept messaging me saying, well, we can't get your conductivity. Well, I've shown my conductivity, I've shown it's plastic, I've shown it had got graphite, and the best I got, I think, from that was something like 0.4 ohms. 0.4 of 1 ohm. And you know what, I've been trying to find that piece of plastic ever since. It's kicking around in here somewhere. I've put it on a shelf somewhere. I think it's somewhere here, and tomorrow I'm going to have a right good search for it, and I'm going to measure the conductivity. It did go up and down with temperature, I must admit, but 0.4 of an ohm was what I got from that plastic. And I know how I did it, and I know what the secret was. My secret was large flake graphite. That was my secret. And also some compression as the stuff's going off. So you compress those large plates or large flakes and get them to touch each other. So that was the secret there. Whether I said that at the time of that particular video, I don't really know. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But I'm hoping to do the same with bioplastics, and I'm hoping to show how to waterproof bioplastics and extend the time in which they will decay, or shorten the time. To get a bioplastic to decay in a short time is easy, but that's, you know, going to be one of the videos you can expect in the next couple of weeks, I think, hopefully. Initially I will show the bioplastics, and then I'll show some conductive bioplastics. Fingers crossed, of course, you know, because things can go wrong, can't they? You know, it doesn't always go right, does it? So you be good, and I'll be back. And now it's full time with the microwave, because I got so sick and tired of these elements blowing in the kiln. It was a full-time job swapping elements out, you know. And eventually what I wanted to do was find an element that I could buy without replacing the whole brick, you know. Don't get me wrong, the manufacturers were pretty good. They kept sending me, I'll show you what they sent. They sent these things, which is called a brick, and there's the back of the kiln, and there's your element, and that's where it's blown, just there. Okay, that's that one. I've got 7 or 8 that I could show you, and they're all like, this is new. I mean, this has had you know, an hour's use, and that's where that one blew. Okay, there's a weak spot just there across here, and the heat, I feel, is melting this stuff, whatever this is, and it's blowing the element, it's shorting the elements out. Now here is a brand new one. Okay, but you can see from that brand new one and that one that that has had next to no use. There's just some local staining on it, and I think most of that staining was from when that element blew up. So there's a weak spot across there. Now this particular kiln, I would like to have bought some of this stuff, which is an element, and that's how they come. And they're not stretched, they're actually like that, and when you stretch them they're like that, so you've got to stretch it, otherwise it would all be just dead short, wouldn't it? So this is 1 metre long. Stretched, this would be 1.4 metres long. That element there is stretched is 2.4 metres. So I'm guessing that I would need probably close on 2 metres, or maybe 1.8 metres, 1.9 metres, something like that, to get that stretched element. So where's the problem? You can only buy that in 1 metre lengths. Just 1 metre length. So if there's anyone that knows where I can get that from at a desired length, i.e. I order the length or even a roll of it, that'd be handy. So a bit of a request there then.